Welcome back to my Transformers Prime episode reviews. Today we're taking a look at the episode Out of the Past. In this episode, we flash back to the past and learn the beginning of Arcee and Cliff Jumper's relationship. We begin this episode with a scene that feels very reminiscent of the one from the first episode of the series, where Cliff Jumper was captured by the Decepticons and presented the Starscream. However, this time it's Arcee in his place. But speaking of Cliff Jumper, turns out he's here too. I remember being so confused when I first watched this episode. How was Arcee captured? How is Cliff Jumper back? Why is he not voiced by The Rock? Well, as the title of this episode would imply, this is actually a flashback, taking place during the War for Cybertron. In the present, Bulkhead is working on his rehabilitation. And there's no tougher coach than Miko. You know, this reminds me of that scene in Civil War, where Rhodey is doing his rehab exercises. Now, where's our version of the Stan Lee cameo and Tony Stank equivalent here? Excuse me, are you Bolthead? Excuse me, are you Octopus Prime? Excuse me, are you Arcee, but spelled A-R-S-E-Y? Yeah, okay, I got nothing else for this joke. Even though Bulkhead is showing improvement, Miko is still upset, and Arcee goes to comfort her.
I understand what you're going through. If you ever want someone to talk to...
I'm fine, okay?
Closing yourself off from feeling won't help anyone.
Well, you would know, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Arcee, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
So Arcee recounts the time that she and Cliff Jumper were captured by the Decepticons. In order to extract the decryption codes from the Autobots, Starscream takes them to Kaon, where we meet Shockwave, voiced by David Sobolov, another Beast Wars veteran, as he was also the voice of Depth Charge.
I invented the cortical psychic patch. I am familiar with its idiosyncrasies.
Better clear the area, Mouse. X and I play rough.
And of course, he would later go on to voice Blitzwing in the Bumblebee movie.
Tell me where your friends are hiding.
I'll never talk.
Is that right?
Using the cortical psychic patch, Shockwave easily extracts the code from Arcee. Maybe Shockwave in Transformers Animated could have used one of those. It would have made his job a lot easier. In this scene, we hear Optimus Prime doing one of his famous speeches calling the Autobots to Earth.
Shut up! I'm trying to listen.
I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots taking refuge among the stars.
Is it just me, or does anyone else find it hilarious seeing Starscream's reaction to how large Shockwave's, cannon is?
Oh my.
When deciding on the instrument of Cliff Jumper's destruction, Starscream says,
Why don't we do this the old-fashioned way?
Two things. First, this is obviously alluding to how Cliff Jumper would ultimately perish at the hands of Starscream. And second, this line reminds me of Dinobot's line in Beast Wars.
I prefer to beat my opponents the old-fashioned way. Brutally!
I wonder if they worded that line specifically as a nod to Beast Wars, or perhaps it's just a coincidence that they have another Beasties alumni in this episode. I like how Cliff Jumper and Arcee play good cop, bad cop.
You should probably tell her something. I'm not sure how long I can hold her back.
Arcee and Cliff go to stop the Decepticons before they can ambush Optimus Prime on Earth.
Excuse me. I got separated from the tour group. Does anyone know where I can find the Decepticon base?
So the two Autobots battle Shockwave and the Viacons, until eventually they are cornered by Starscream, with no other way out than to take the space bridge to Earth. They enter the space bridge, but Shockwave follows. And I like Arcee's little Matrix dodge, blinding shockwaves one eye. And Arcee and Cliff make it to Earth.
Let's find Optimus. Partner.
Aww. And this episode ends with my two best girls in front of a sunset. Aww. Well, this was a great episode of Transformers Prime. I like that we got to see Arcee and Miko interact more. I mean, most of the time this episode we were in the flashback, which is great too, but I would have loved to see Miko and Arcee have a girls' night out episode. Maybe Miko could finally ask Arcee why she's the only girl on the team. To which Arcee could respond, "What's a girl?" Or, however they want to play with gender in Prime. I know I would want to ask Arcee about that kind of stuff. What did they do for fun on Cybertron? Did Transformers go out on dates? Did they like to kiss and hold hands and stuff? Speaking of which, I like that we got to see the beginnings of Arcee and Cliffjumper's romance. I just wish that we had more of Cliff in this show. And that he was voiced by Dwayne Johnson. Don't get me wrong, Billy Brown does a great job here. I just think it would have been nice to have The Rock back. Maybe it was a budget issue, maybe it was a scheduling issue, but oh well. I also liked how we got to see them arrive on Earth. Not to mention Optimus Prime doing one of his classic speeches to the stars. But this time somebody actually answered him. Again, this was a great episode. Easily one of my favorites in the series. I just wish we had more of Cliff and Arcee's relationship in the show. They were so cute together. Well, let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and do all that other fun stuff. And I'll see you here next week for the episode New Recruit. Aww, is the Transformers Prime cast going to welcome a young little bot into their ranks? Like one of the recruits in Rescue Bots Academy? I guess we'll just have to tune in next week to find out.